you need to start investing like yesterday. Saving literally makes no mathematical sense anymore.
So today we're going to talk about inflation and why it's important to you.
So what is inflation?
Inflation is the devaluation of the buying power of a currency. So normally inflation happens at a rate of about 2% year over year. What people don't understand though is that's basically saying that you're losing 2% in buying power year over year, because essentially you're seeing an expansion in the money supply. And that's something that has been happening normally in like regular times, right? The issue now is that when COVID began and the lockdowns happened, there was a mass amount of stimulus that happened, right? So central banks globally, and specifically in Canada itself, started printing money to a mass. So similar to any other product, like those bananas back there, right? The higher the supply, the lower the demand. So if you start seeing an increase in the money supply in the Canadian dollar, you're basically going to see a decrease in the value of it, right? And that's essentially how you get inflation. Now, this is important to the average Canadian because the majority of Canadians are single income, right? And essentially that income generally comes from a salary from a job that pays you in Canadian dollars. Now, if you go back to what I just said, nominally, you're losing about 2% buying power year over year. Now, with COVID, essentially, the money supply has increased so greatly, that salary you're getting paid in, literally, bi-weekly is devaluing because you're losing buying power, right? So those in the know that understand this trend are basically throwing all of their cash, or essentially the cash that they can afford that will make them illiquid, into assets, right? And that's why we've seen house prices increase at a dramatic rate. Obviously not just in the GTA, but I'm actually also hearing that condo prices are increasing at a faster rate downtown Toronto than they are in the GTA as well too. So real estate everywhere is basically appreciating, and I believe basically it's due to that trend that those in the know are understanding. Over the long term, your buying power is decreasing, so you must throw that cash right now into an asset that long term will yield value for you, right? The thing is, we can't all invest in real estate. It's a large capital hole, right? You still need to invest. At the end of the day, there's different avenues you can go through. You can invest in stocks, you can invest in crypto. And for me, I think crypto is one of the best avenues for somebody that's not the most educated or possibly has the most access to, let's say, equities, right? And that's because the biggest advantage to crypto from a financial perspective is decreased barriers to entry and the amount of liquidity that's available. And what I mean by that is that it's a lot easier for you to start a crypto trading account than it is to start a BMO Investor Line account. It is. I can't make that any more simpler, right? And at the end of the day, you can put in less money as well too. I understand there's been all these no-fee platforms that have come up, such as Wealthsimple, but you need to understand there's no such thing as no fees in the world of equities, right? For example, they say you can buy a partial stock. That is the funniest thing I have ever heard in my life. You cannot buy a partial stock. They're stealing the money from you. Understand that, okay? That's not how these things work, right? And if you look at Wealthsimple, the majority of products they offer are very redundant, and they're still taking fees off the back end. It's run by CI. We can talk about this at a later time, right? But I'm a huge proponent of crypto.